Guys, so welcome to the presentation here. I know you guys have been here for a while all day. It's actually a really good day to kind of do this. I'm going to have to jump back and forth, Morgan, from the screen to kind of go over kind of the market setup. So what I want so you guys get some value out of this. Today's been pretty slow. What I want to do is kind of go over, I'm a crude trader. I trade a lot of crude, Russell 2000. I trade the E-mini every once in a while. And I do a lot of options trading. So I think Nick was on before. He was talking about spreads. I mess with spreads here and there. I do a lot more directional option trading across like weekly options, like earnings plays. Like, you know, I think he was talking about CMG there. There's actually a really good idea end of day. Just like kind of high risk to reward. I put a little bit out kind of, you know, on the table and try to look for kind of a big kind of pop. So I've been trading about 6 years. I actually started when I was like 20 years old, so all I've really known is finance. I worked at Charles Schwab when I was about 20 years old. You know, still an undergrad, and I was coming out of coming out of school looking for a job in finance, and that's when everything crashed, right? So go figure, you know, my entire kind of dream was like, you know, I want to go work on Wall Street. I want to get out to New York and do this, and the market crashes. And it kind of hits me. So luckily, I was able to work for a hedge fund out in Scottsdale, Arizona. So that's where I'm at now. I don't know if any of you are from Scottsdale. If you are, you're probably enjoying some pretty good weather right now. So, but I worked for a hedge fund out in Scottsdale. Went out to a family office in Los Angeles, California for a while. Traded for them, ran a portfolio across equities and equity options. And then we hedged a lot in the futures markets. So what I really just do now is I'm primarily just futures trading. I pretty much spend my day, these are my charts right here. I use NinjaTrader. I did want to do some live trading. So what I kind of want to go through is the pit's about to close here on crude here pretty quickly. And if we can get a setup on oil this morning or this afternoon, I might take a trade on this. I'm already lined up on NinjaTrader here to pretty much get ready. We can take live trades on this market. If we can get a setup on this. So let me just talk about some analysis on this, and then if we get a trade, we'll take a trade. I'll do some Q&A throughout this, and then if we don't get a trade, I'll try to I have a presentation that's prepared like on fib analysis and kind of some of what I do, and I'll kind of go over that with everybody. And again, I'll have to jump back and forth to see the questions, so just give me a few moments. So this morning on crude, let me just kind of talk about what I do. So I have like a private trade room. It's not that big. Probably about 10 guys come in pretty often. We're a real small group of guys I've worked with, and I pretty much trade every morning. So every morning we do an outlook on the market and just kind of assess before we come and trade. So this market, so a lot of people see crude, and you know, I don't really swing these markets. I look for very small moves in the marketplace to trade, very short-term swings. And so we came in this morning really looking to basically trade off yesterday's range, right? I like to use ranges in my trading, and that's what you're seeing on the screen. So these two levels here, basically the cash opens. I'll trade those ranges because I can get, you know, pretty good feel. There's a lot of, the market reacts very well at those ranges. And so we were actually looking to get long this morning on this, but we were a little bit hesitant because there was kind of a gap here from yesterday. And so we kind of watched this morning. You know, this thing broke down, then got a little bit heavy on us, and we just kind of ignored it after that because we couldn't really get a trade from these levels. So right now what I'm looking for, and I'm going to keep an eye on it here. This is actually a good time that we started because typically from about now until about 11:30, the market will, you know, kind of get some volume coming through. So if we can get a pop to this, I might be looking to get long this, and if we can get it back into this range, you know, I doubt that we get here by the close, but the way crude trades, you never really know. So we'll take a look at that. So let me just set this up. And I'm going to jump over to look, see if there's any questions right now, and I'll kind of answer those while we're waiting for this to set up. Then I'll go over that Russell. The Russell's been a pretty slow day. I was looking to get short at those highs, but it's just way too slow for me to trade today, so I'm pretty much done by 11:30, the European close anyway. So let me just jump back over real quick. Let's go crude. Oh yeah, Julie, you should definitely get out to Scottsdale. I mean, it's really nice out here. Like especially now. It's just it's amazing right now. You just have to endure like 3 months of like insane heat. But I go to San Diego. They don't like us over there, the Arizonans. So really what I do, and I'll just kind of talk about, my trading style to give you guys an idea, and we'll go over some things here in that presentation. But typically, I try not to trade past 11:30. If I can get up, I'm on the West Coast. The only kind of downfalls, I'm up about 4:35. I try to get up, trade, be done by about 11:30. And then every once in a while, like today, I might trade the Russell from 3 to 4 because I think we're a little bit overbought up there and I might look to get short. But pretty much that's what I do. I come in, trade early in the mornings. We look at crude in the morning every day. From about 6 to 6:30, I can expect a move. And then right now, towards this year, or not Euro close, but towards the pit closer, we might get a move. And you guys can see my charts. These are literally what I use. I mean, it's everything I do is price action based. I use ranges, price action, um, some channel stuff. I really don't use a lot of trend lines in my trading, and that's pretty much it. They're really simple charts, not a lot of noise on them. I'll do some tape reading here and there, but it's a lot of patterns, a lot of harmonics trading. I use fibs in my trading as well, which is what I'm going to talk about here this afternoon. So, see, like right now it's just kind of too slow. So we're going to see if this thing starts to set up. If on this pullback, I really like, we might get a run to this. Like I said, this was actually the gap from yesterday. We might be able to get a run. I'd like to see this break out. Maybe we can get about 40 ticks on this thing into really back into previous low day there. We've got about 15 minutes on that. So have you guys actually, and I'm just curious, have you guys been in the, most of you been in the presentation all day, all morning, all day for the trade-a-thon here? 70. Started, okay. Nice, very nice. Yeah, it's been a pretty slow day. I mean, we had that kind of climb this morning. Yeah, I'll definitely go over some setups here with you guys. Just give me, let's just see if we can get let's see if we can get a trade off this going into this close here. There it is. Vol coming through like right here. So notice the time. So like I'll come in like right now, like literally what we're doing, and I'm gonna watch and see. Like right into about 11:30, we start to get pops in this. The only thing I don't like in this setup is that this RSI is just a little bit too overbought up here. Not saying it doesn't run. I prefer this thing was about 40 or 30 on the pullback, and I'd kind of have some more room on this. But so timing is very important to me. So that's someone just asked about setups there. So I really don't like to sit in trades. I mean, if I'm carrying like a 5 or 10 lot, like on the Russell or crude, and I'm looking like yesterday when you try to get a dollar gap fill, like, that's a different story. But when you're trading small size, you're looking for a 20, 30 tick pop. I don't want to sit and chop action. So like when I look for a turning point, and a lot of what I do is like fib work, um, pivots, trend analysis, and then to the time. Like I know volume's going to come through in about 3-4 minutes here, and then I'm going to look for this pop if we can get a pullback. I need this to come back just a little bit more for me. I'm not comfortable just yet with those highs. Let me just kind of jump back and forth, see what questions are coming in, because that's got to pull back for me to get a trade. Crude grade for me today. Nice, JD. How much drawdown do you allow in CL? I trade. So I have a managed account that I run that's north of 100,000. And so there's different drawdowns on that than like if I'm trading like a smaller account that I have, it's about 20,000 that I try to keep in there. I mean, I'll lose $500, $600 a day. So there we go. There's that pullback I needed. Let's see if we can get this. Somebody, it depends. I mean, I don't really say I'm going to hold it for a certain time. It's more of where my target's going to be and where am I trying to take the trade to. And I'll kind of talk about that as we kind of go through this. It's not really, yeah, it's not really, I don't really base it. I trade a lot of charts. What I try not to do is I try not to look at the trading DOM. So normally you guys would not see me, normally I have like other screens and I have like my TOS screens up, then I'll have my trading DOM. I don't even want to look at the DOM when I trade because I don't want to see, I just don't want to see, you know, the P&L. I trade the charts, right? I think that's important, at least for me anyway. So let's see if we can't get this pulled back just a little bit more. And this would be a really good setup for me. If we can get one more pullback into this, we can kind of trade right out of this zone and get this thing to kind of curl for us. Let me jump back to Q&As here, see what's coming through. Give that a few seconds. Thanks. Where's my site? That's it. Everything you guys see. How do you get that trading dome to come up? Oh, I have my Ninja on here. Some good questions coming, really good questions. So I have Ninja on here, and so I've been trading with Thinkorswim since before they got bought out. So like when I was, what was this, 2000, like 2006, 2007, I've always been trading with this company. So I've just I'm just too used to their charts. So. And I trade a lot of options, like I said. So I really love their platform for options. Let's see if we can't get this here. And so somebody asked about market orders. I do both. So like I have a larger strategy that I run. You know, I'll run like 5, 10 lots on crude. So I do a lot of price action scalping. And so I need to market in and market out. I don't really use limits. I just, you know, I'm going after 20, 15 ticks here and there. Like this setup you guys are seeing, right? This is all small lot. What I'm going to show you right now is all small lot trading. Let's see if we can't get a limit on this thing to get long. Order pending. So this trade here, what we're going to look for is, you know, I really would like this to come back, but let's see if we can't get the vol to come in by watching the tape. Somebody asked, well, I don't use a volume. I just watch the tape and see. You can tell, like you can see when there's large lots coming through, this tape starts to speed up. What we're going to try and do is, like with this trade here, we're going to try and bring this, I'm going to try and bring it to 192. I mean, really, that's not enough for me. I really want this to go to about a quarter on this. I would prefer that. So we can take that off. Order canceled. Let's see, right as we come into here. This is perfect. Just got about 8 minutes. And I will jump back to questions. This is just a kind of an area we have to kind of watch it right here to see how price is going to react for us. Order pending. So now that we came back into the zone, we're making higher highs, and we're going to look for this thing basically to run on us. Right here, and I'm going to look for this to pop, and I want to clear this high, I want to clear 92, and then what we can do on this is what I do is some symmetry. Like, let me give you guys an idea of like symmetry in the market. And I don't use this a lot, but I'll throw it up there just to give me an idea. And it works. I know it's, for those of you who've never used it, it kind of seems, you know, hokey, like kind of magic stuff, but it does kind of work once you understand how to use it properly. So 101.04 would be our symmetry on this. Right, almost on a measured move setup. So I'll look at that, but really the goal is we're going to try and get this to come all the way back up to about a 1.25 today. And you can see it's having a pretty tough time. This tape's just pretty dead. It's really slow here. And that, I think that's more of a matter of, you know, crude had that daily chart's pretty heavy. The 60 minutes pretty heavy. You just had a massive selling day, so it's really doing its best to kind of truck up and kind of stair step slower higher. And the whole market's just been slow today too. So aside from that heavy buying off the open. So we're going to hit on this. Order filled. And let's go stop right below 55. Order pending. And so now we just kind of need this to pump for us as we get up to these highs. But the tape's a little bit slow here, but we'll give this a run. Give me just 1 sec. Let's pull this up. We'll kind of come back and check on this. Let me go through some questions real quick because now the order's in. So now, like with this type of setup, there's just, and let me explain something because I had somebody who was kind of touring our trade room this week. He's looking at signing up for like this intraday trading consulting I do. And he had asked me when I was making trades, he's like, you know, I see like you just put your screen away. I mean, when I put my trade setup on, for the most part, you know, I'll put the stop in and I'm prepared to take the loss on this, right? And I know that what I'm going to try and risk on this and what I'm looking for. So, you know, looking at the screen for me, it's not going to change anything. I don't know if, you know, any of you guys like can relate to that. You're just not going to change anything. The trade's either going to work for us or it's not, you know. Can you explain scalping? So let me go over some of these questions. We'll come back to that trade. What time frame? Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely gonna go some questions right now. Do you generally trade CL from the 1 minute? Yeah, absolutely. So let me say this. So what I do is I have an anchor chart. So when I look at the markets, I want an overall picture. I need the context of the overall trend. And so what I do every morning is I come in and say, okay, where do we have gaps at? Where was yesterday's range? And where is my daily or 60-minute pointing to? I need to trade that market on my entries from a tick chart or a 1 minute chart, because what that allows me to do is see the market actually moving and I can get better waves. Volume, what time frame? I don't really look at the dollar. I mean, I know a lot of people, I know a lot of people, try to correlate the dollar with crude. I just don't. I mean, I check it. I just don't. Yeah, I absolutely move stop to break even. So let me give you an example. So if I'm like this one lot we're gonna run, if I'm running like 1 to 5 lots, I definitely would move stop to break even. Like once we get like plus 20 or plus 15, I'm definitely gonna go break even. I'm not just gonna let it sit. I won't lose money on the trade. So that's definitely for sure. Like right here, I mean, look, see, we just keep rejecting this. Like we're probably not gonna get this trade to work out, but never say never, right? So let's see. Because normally this would pop because we're right into the close here, and this should have popped already for me. I can just tell you that right now. It should have kind of taken off. Yeah, someone said third wave. Yeah, if you're going to count this as wave 1, wave 2, you're looking for the pop. Yeah, exactly. That's what it would be. You can see there's just a ton of sellers on this tape here. Somebody said, why did I get long there? Again, typically, and I'm just going to throw this out, I wouldn't be trading right now. I mean, I wouldn't be trading past 11:30. I mean, 11:30. We're pretty close to this. My day would be done for the most part here. The reason is we had a reversal. We're kind of at these lows here in crude, right? We made a higher high at this reversal. We continue to make higher highs. Right now, I'm just looking for the next high. But instead of waiting for it to basically get here for the high and look for 25 ticks, I'm trying to get in early on this move so I can get 30 or 40 ticks on this. Yeah, this just got some size selling here. Let me just kind of jump back through questions. Yeah, it's real weak here. Absolutely. It's just real weak. No, I mean, I'll mix it up. I mean, I mix it up. Somebody asked about the R's or the waves I trade. No, it just depends. Like right now, we're just trying to trade with this trend. I'm going to try and stay with the trend in the market on this, right? Because we keep making higher highs. I just want to see if we can get back up into this trend. So like, let's say that if we broke this low here, let's say theoretically this market started to break down on me, and we broke 135. So typically, let's say if I was in a different account and not this like one lot trading slow style or 5 lot, whatever we want to call it here, just intraday, and this broke for me, I'd probably be short real quickly, market in on the short, and try and basically fade this short into this low and then bring it to like 100 or basically the lows a day, right? If we rolled over. But right now, I want to continue with this trend. Somebody asked about price action scalping. That's what that would be. Like I would be anticipating the break of this level here with some size, and if it broke down to me quickly, I would scalp out. If it not, I just, I'll lose a few ticks, pretty quickly. It's when I mark it in, mark it out. Right now we're going to limit in, limit out of these orders. And this is a pretty slow style of trading, I think. I mean, I try to take, so let's say that account, I have like a 20,000. I try to keep no more than 20 because of, the situations with the brokers recently. That's another thing too, is I'll try to, wire money out when I get to a certain balance to kind of pay myself every week. But with like the small lot stuff, I try to take about 1 to 5 trades a day. I really don't try to take anything more than that. I look for a good setup, especially on crude. Because the way, there seems like there's some crude traders in the room here. The way this market trades, the personality is just great. This thing will run on you 40 ticks and it'll turn around and run 20 ticks against you. Yesterday, it's just a great market to trade. This is just really, really slow here. Let's see if we can. So I'll answer some more questions here, and we'll just kind of let this trade play out because it's going to play out either way. How's it going now? Good to have you here. All in, all out, or scale in type entry? It is, right, Mike? Yeah, I agree. Like, you can't, I love to trade crude. I really enjoy that market. I'm not a big E-mini fan. Are any of you E-mini traders in the room? What markets? Let's talk about that. What markets are most some crude trading? Okay, nice. It's funny, AC. I do trade USO. So let me give you an example. Since I think Nick was talking about options, this is what I do. Is let's say if I'm gonna swing, and this is a really good strategy for those of you who don't have like the margin to hold an overnight position. If I see a really good swing set up on crude, on the actual futures, I'll go to USO or another like oil and gas stock, and I trade the options on that stock, right? Or the ETF. And I just basically, it's a pretty simple strategy. I don't think it's that complicated, but you can just take advantage of a longer term move, like structuring an options trade. And so I do use those ETFs. Yeah, I do trade regular stocks. I trade a lot of like Priceline. I don't trade actual shares anymore, and I'll tell you, number one, I don't have anywhere, even if I went to a prop shop near the Capitol to basically, trade actual shares. I trade a lot of options on like Priceline, a lot of high betas like CMG, Google, CME, Panera Bread, Apple. I love Apple. If you traded options on Apple, you guys know how fun that is. It's on ES and Y. I do have the Y on ES set up with the seal reason. Seal is not working for a few cases. The website, I'll get to it. It's Landshark Analytics. I'll just type it in because we'll wait for this trade to set up, and we'll go back and I'm going to cover some Russell with you too. And the good thing is I'm going to try and jump over to this. We may not even need to go to the presentation. We'll see. But we might be able to look at the Russell here at 3 o'clock and see what happens with it. Options are horrible for day trade because of price. Yeah, I don't day trade them at all. It's just, you're right. Price, especially Priceline, the spread on Priceline is just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous to trade that stock. Like Priceline's, let me give you guys an example while we're waiting for this trade. So Priceline, every market has a personality, and some of you like crude. I really like crude because it's erratic. This market's bipolar. It was down almost $2 in a day. Now we're trying to reverse out. Priceline's kind of like crude. The options, the spreads are so ridiculous that I try and find the move as it happens and just kind of hit either the bid or offer, or ask rather. I just try to get in real quickly and kind of get out of that trade. So pretty much like kind of how I would scalp crude, it's kind of the same way I trade Priceline because of the way those options. It's just real slow. We'll kind of come back to that. Take a look. We could do. Let me go look at this Russell. We're waiting for this trade to play out for us. I'll talk about this. So this is what I was looking at in the Russell this morning. Really, again, not a lot going on. I'll tell you this, when we got up to previous high day, I thought we were going to basically have a range day on this. And so I did try and short this. It pulled back and I just marketed it out. I mean, I had like one trade today. I really didn't do much. I didn't catch this move. And I was telling some of the guys I was trading with today, typically, and I'll talk about this trade setup on this market. You know, when this market moves, it's not as erratic as I see it as, let's say like the E-mini. I think for me, that market's a little erratic. It doesn't fit my personality. I don't like to trade it too much. When I was at the fund, you know, we use it to hedge quite a bit, but you're trading, you know, decent size and you can kind of afford a mistake here and there. But, you know, you're trading smaller accounts. I like to kind of intraday trend stuff. I didn't even look at this long this morning. I just really didn't like how slow the tape was today. It was just a real slow day. So that's one thing that I think, at least for me, you know, when you're at home trader, is not over trading and it's just not having to trade every day. You just don't have to. That's one of the luxuries of trading. You just don't have to trade every day. And so I just kind of neglected to sit this out here. Now at these highs, though, I'll tell you, I was looking basically on a harmonic setup to basically short this market. I didn't get in the position. I kept watching it here. The reason I didn't get into it was, and I'll explain it here, is it was midday, and you guys, I mean, it's been dead slow out here. So I'm just not going to trade midday. I just refuse to do it. I'm pretty disciplined about it. You know, at 3 o'clock, that's what I'm saying. You know, if we get to 3 and this starts this setup, I may look to short this at 3. We can get another trade off, but I just don't like to trade midday much. So let me see what questions are kind of coming in. Where's stop loss? On that crude trade, I think like 50, 56. We're not going to risk too much on it. Peter, I use RSI. I mean, I'll throw an EMA or an SMA on every once in a while, but that's pretty it. That's pretty much it. I don't really use too much. I'm a pure price guy. I like to trade price action. I like to look at the tape. I trade the harmonics. I use a lot of fibs in my trading. And I just like to look at price. I think a lot of indicators are all derivative of price. So a lot of E-mini traders, a lot of Russell. Susie's a Russell trader. Brian's E-mini. FX, okay. The DAX. So Theo, you trade the DAX. How do you like that market? Now that market's fun to trade. It's a little too wild for me, but that market is really fun to trade. Support resistance. Steve, I use cash and the pit. I use both of those. Yeah, gold, Charlie. That thing has really moved today. Like, did you see that move overnight? It was insane. Susie, so when I'll tell you my story. So when I was like 18, this is how I got into trading. So when I was 18 years old, somebody gave me an article. It was on Steve Cohen. I don't know if you guys know him, SAC Capital. And they were talking about how he just bought some like $15 million house and it was like cash. And you know, I was young then and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. And so I just started trying to learn everything I could about it. Went to Arizona State, started studying it, and started trading like not like penny stocks, but like mining stocks, like $3 or $4 stocks. Literally no clue what I was doing at all. And somehow I kept cold calling a local Charles Schwab office, and they gave me a job when I was like 20. This is like 2006. And so what I would do is I'd go over to like their bond desk, and I would always speak with the guys and ask them whatever I could. And the market crashed, and then I was on Elite Trader looking for a position in Chicago, and I met somebody in Scottsdale who ran a small hedge fund. And we just started chatting. He invited me to speak with him, and basically he taught me. He was a trader for about 30 years, a real professional trader. He had a good team of traders. They brought me in. They taught me, how to trade harmonics, how to trade the futures markets. The analysis, though, for like stock trading and my options trading, I'll tell you this, especially for the options, came from a lot of like self-learning. Just figuring out what stocks I like to trade, and really, like I said, my go-to is like Priceline, Apple, Google, and that's pretty much it. I don't see, one thing I see a lot of people, at least people that I consult with, is they focus on too many different products and they don't understand just a few of them well enough. And so I focus on a few of those. So this is just a real slow market here, guys. I mean, hopefully we get a push on this, but I think we're going to get stopped. What charts are you running at CL? Roger, so I'll look at the 5-minute, the 233 tick, a 1 minute, and then let's say I'm like in a trade, I'll switch over to the 15-minute. Because what that does for me, like yesterday in that long setup, I'll switch to the 15 and it keeps me in the trade. So for those of you, like if you've ever put on a position intraday, you know how hard it is to like not mess with your trade. I switch to a larger term time frame, so I just try not to mess with the trade or close out or Oh, John, so you know where the waterfront is? Scottsdale waterfront? Where I'm right across the street from the waterfront, like right there. How did you get the levels on the TO charts? I'll show you, Mac. So do you backtest all your setups? Okay, so Mary's, yeah, so for the intraday trading, the intraday setups, yeah. So when I use my range setups, I working with a local CTA in Scottsdale, and we're actually just got done with a system. He's going to put together an auto system, and it backtested really, really well. It didn't do too well in 2005, 2006, but the past like 4 years, it's just worked incredibly well in the Russell. And so we're automating that one. Seems everybody's different tick chart they look like. Is it really? Marky wants to know, seems everybody's different tick chart they like. Is there a right or wrong one? No, look, I don't know. I think a lot of it's visual, to be honest. And that's just my opinion. I think people, like if you're a visual, look at me, look how bad these ticks are. So if you're a visual person, I think that helps. It's just, there's not really a wrong or right one. I liked it 233 tick. The reason I like it is because when I trade these markets, I need to see like where I need to see the waves. Like if I were to go to an hour chart, obviously I'm not going to see the intricacies of this market. So I can't really base my trades off of that, especially if I'm scalping or if I'm looking for a 20 or 30 tick trade. I need to see how this market's breaking down. So I prefer like the 1 or 2 33 tick. And again, everybody has a preference. Whatever you're comfortable with, I mean, that's what I would just say go with. I mean, there really is no wrong or right way to trade the markets, I would say. It's just whatever you're comfortable with. Let's go. Let's see if we can get this thing to run here. Just real slow. Let's take a look. Questions. How did you get the levels on T? I'll go for that real quick here, Matt. Seems everybody's different. Okay, so pretty much the same questions. Let me know if I missed any questions. If I didn't answer your question, just kind of shoot it back, and I'll keep trying to glance over to talk about them. Somebody asked about the TF chart. Let me go right over that for you. Because somebody brought up a harmonic pattern, right? So essentially what I'm doing is I want to see where, right, the market stopped here, it took off, it stopped here, and it pulled back and it stopped here. So what I'm trying to see is how far is this leg going to extend? Now when I trade, and this is where I think fib trading gets complicated. And I'm going to use an example, somebody I spoke with this week. There's a lot of different ways, obviously, you can structure a strategy or system around this, may sound like, duh, Dan, I know, but you may structure it around a certain way you trade it. I'm using basically a certain extension on a harmonic pattern on this to basically say, look, if I get to a certain zone, I look for price to reverse. Like up here, that's why I was looking for the reversal today, like right at this level. And I'll tell you this, I mean, if we just weren't so slow today, I would have been short this market. We were just so darn slow at these highs, I just decided not even to trade. Right, but right up here is I was looking for this short to kind of set up on us. You know, and I would venture to say that, you know, if we get a clean entry at the close, we might try and take a 2-pointer trade to like 92, 91 on this, right? And we'll kind of look from there. But that's how I got that level. Does that answer your question there? Are there harmonic patterns? Okay, so Tom, so I think I'll tell you this, and I'm amazed. Like I'm absolutely amazed by fib analysis because you can apply it to pretty much any chart, and for some odd reason it works. Like there was a price line set up last week. When that price, I don't know if you guys saw price line sell off. I was short that via kind of a put strategy I was running on it. But there was a really good setup based on this harmonic like trade setup, and they just work. And I can't say why they do. It's a really good. They just work really well. Do you look at floor pivots? No. I mean, Julie, yes, I'll tell you this, Julie, what I try not to do is I don't look, I see a lot of traders, and again, to each their own, they have different levels they want. I just don't. I think a lot of the big traders, you're running 200-300 lot stuff, those type of traders, I know a few of them, they look at certain like pivot levels because they're trading so much size. So they're only looking for a 2 or 3 point move. I don't. I'm just looking for a larger term move intraday, like something like this. Right, it's all I really want is like, let's say when I was shorting this today, I was looking to basically short this market on the range on this and bring this at least to 50% of this range. Right, and so somebody asked about backtest, and you can backtest. This is pretty, I mean, it's a pretty common, and I have documents and all this. When you kind of get to these lows, I was looking to bring it to here, right, and that's all I would look for because I only want X amount of points out of the market each day. Then my second target would have been right down here, and if I didn't get it, I would just keep moving the stop up, and then that's kind of it. And notice, I know this is kind of, but notice how we just keep coming to this 60 level and holding this kind of pullback here. So hopefully somebody kind of comes in here and we get this thing to pop for us. What years were you at ASU? I started there in like 2005, 2006, stopped for a while, went back like 09, and then that was pretty much it. Did you go to ASU, Josh? Perun, I mean, a few of them. I use a few. What did we swing trade also accrue for a period of days? Yeah, so in a larger account that I run, like there, I definitely will swing crude quite a bit. I mean, for the most part, like if there's a really good setup, yeah, absolutely, I'll swing it. Are you on YouTube? Yeah, I am. It's under Landshark Analytics. I'm gonna give you guys information. I mean, I really don't put a lot of videos out, Mike. I try to put out a few more here and there. I trade a few private accounts and I put out kind of when I can. Current low. Thanks to you. Yeah. I kind of agree. You see exactly. You trade fibs too. Nice. Nice, man. Are you still in Arizona? All weekly options. Yeah, right. I'll go back to that CL check. Give me one sec. Let me get off this 233 tick here. And see, and let me talk you through the analysis on this. And so, and I was talking with somebody, a broker at a firm that I trade with, and we were just chatting on Skype earlier, and we were talking about this level. And I said, I don't really want to short this, even though I thought we were going to get this EOD, kind of just a slow leak on this. It was just too slow for me. And I'm at the point where there's just like, I had a pretty decent week so far. And so I just kind of shut down if I'm just not comfortable trading. And like a day like today, it's just too slow for me to come in and really mess with this here. Did anybody catch the longs this morning? That was a really good setup this morning. Especially, on ES and that Russell was a really good setup. Absolutely. So yeah. Yeah. So okay, nice shot. Yeah, I was in LA for a while and working for a family office out there, out in Westwood. Yeah, about 8:30. No, 11:30 New York time. Because I try and. I'm sorry, you're right. 8:30 New York time. 11:30 I'll come back and see if there's a setup, my time, West Coast time, to see if there's a setup for the pit. But pretty much I'm done by the European close. Nice market. Yeah, that would have been nice, huh, Julie? That setup there. Really. And let me explain some. You just brought up doji. So let me explain that. I don't really use, like, I can switch over to like a bar chart. It just doesn't really affect me because the way I try and see the market is, again, to each their own, right? But I just try to see the market in a matter of like just waves, and so now I just want to see this wave here, this wave pullback. Now I want to see the next measured move to basically run on this market, right? Using stops, highs, lows, where is it going to retrace to? Where are we going to get out of it? Like using the time, you see we're past really the pit close here. We didn't get the move I was looking for, but I'm in the trade now, and we're going to let this run. It's not a lot of risk on it. We're going to see this is just going to run for. So typically, at about the pit close, we would have got this to run if, I'll give that a shot every once in a while into the pit. Whether it's a long trade or a short trade, I'll kind of come around and test it. But for the most part, like I said, the European close is when I try and end my day. And that's not bad. We keep coming in, we're holding this level well. Now we just kind of need to turn this corner. What I'll do here is, how many ticks do you usually see out daily? It depends. What was it, Monday? I caught quite a bit on Monday on that move out of like previous low day. It just depends. At least 30. Trade the Russell. Same times. I really don't really keep track, JP. As long as the way I see the market is I come in, if I come out of the market with more money than I did yesterday, then I did a good job. So whether that's $10 or $1, like today, that was a good day for me. So some days I'll come out, a higher amount. Some days, as long as I don't lose money, like I'm okay with that. Euro close is 11:30. Which time will you trade the Russell? Okay, so I don't trade the Russell, and I'm going to talk about this. So on Saturday, there's going to be a class I'm going to do just for TradingPub. We're going to do about an hour and a half, 2-hour class. So I'm going to go over like more setups that I use and like a full Q&A session, and I'll go over like P&L stuff and all that on Saturday. If you guys are interested, what type of extensions do you use? A few. I'm a big fan of the 127 Mac. Big fan of that. Big fan of the 50. There we go. Let's curl on this thing. We need a rally caps on. But yeah, as far as the win ratio, I mean, again, I just don't. I really try not to. I mean, I look at it. I just, again, if I can come out with more money than yesterday, I mean, it's a good day. I'll tell you this though, in the options trading, you know, I think Nick made a really good point. What did he say? He's like, I only caught part of it. He said something about kind of like Vegas. He's like, you know, I'll try like a $200 trade. I'm not going to put a lot on, but if it hits, it'll make really good money for me. So I try and look for a lot of asymmetric trades in the market. So, and let me just switch over while we're waiting for this trade to kind of hopefully rally for us here. So let's say like on PCLN, I look for like really asymmetric trade setups where I don't have to risk a lot of money. It's like, you know, how Jim Cramer says he has your mad money, right? Kind of same idea. I'll go and look for a setup that's so out of the money or a certain market situation or like an event-driven kind of trade where I go and put on risk. And then if that risk hits, you know, I'm only have a little bit of capital on the line, but it pays out really well. And I like to use that strategy because it builds portfolios quickly. And so with that strategy, like the win-loss ratio, it's pretty bad. But as long as like the winners really make up for the losers, and I'm not risking a lot, and I'm not out risking 20,000 a trade, you're risking very little. They don't hit all the time, but when they do, it's such an extreme kind of setup that like it makes a lot of sense. So I'll tell you this right now. Let me just give you guys an example. So I'm actually going to be looking to short, and I'll talk about a lot of this on Saturday as well. I'm actually looking to be trying to short to see if this is a short-term kind of resistance on price line. And if it is, right, because this is a huge sell-off, and this is pretty bearish, right? If we end up breaking this next week, I'm probably going to try and get short out of the money puts or a certain like strategy to basically short this into the earnings event, right? So I've been really watching this 1035, 1037 level. I mean, like a hawk. I've been just all over this here. So if this thing kind of breaks down, I'm definitely going to try and short here pretty soon. And that really helps if it gets into like Friday. So I don't know if you guys are that familiar with options trading, like OPEX trades. Let's see if anybody, those are, I mean, really, they're just really fun to trade. Are you not central line with your trend line? I mean, you mean like an Andrews pitchfork, Roger? So we're here about the 3 o'clock hour. So here's where we might get a trade to basically trade. I think I have, how much time do I have left? I don't even think we need to go over the presentation. I mean, we have this trade on, so. What fib extensions do I use? Answered that. Heartline, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't really use Andrew's pitchfork too much. Because for me, look, I mean, for me, it's just kind of, I call it chart art. I'll use I'll use this right here just to give me an idea. But I really know, even if I didn't have this, let's take this off, I know that, look, I've got a wave up, higher highs, so now I just need this market to basically push for me. And that's pretty much what I'm just going to look for there. I mean, I'll use it on like a daily time frame to give me like context, like my anchor charts. Like if I'm setting up like a swing, I'll use it to give me just like an idea. But for the most part, it's all price action, wave analysis, fib analysis, and harmonics. And on this trade here, let's see if we can actually, where's that RSI in the 5-minute for us? because now, see, now this is where I'm interested in trading, because now we're at the last hour of trading, so volume should pick up for us. And so now I'm interested to see if, the market, these guys come in and we start to make some moves here. It's still pretty slow. What are the main best hours trading the DAX and German bond? Oh, Theo. Yeah, the DAX is, I really like the DAX, Josh. I mean, it's just, that thing is a great market to trade. Big fan of Nikkei as well. I don't know if any of you guys trade Nikkei. I really like that market. Just a little more difficult to trade, but I do like trading that market. So I have about 11 minutes left. I mean, I think we can go, what other questions? And we're kind of sitting in this trade here. Hopefully I've kind of answered a few, giving you guys some insight to how I trade. What other questions do you guys have? Did I not answer any for you? I can kind of go over the presentation, but you guys really, we kind of covered a lot that was going to be in the presentation. But we'll cover it. Let me pull it up here. We'll go over it real quickly. I have about 11 minutes. Yeah, we'll come back and we'll take a look at that crude trade, see if it does anything for us. So you guys can see this, I'm assuming. One moment here. Just run through this. So somebody was asking about fibs. I want to go over real quickly. I'm not going to go through all of it. So somebody was asking, this is like basically the same trade setup we're looking for on crude, right? So we just keep making higher highs. So I'm just looking to buy this pullback to make the next wave high. Right, now this is all fractal nature. So again, somebody asked for the time frames. If I'm trading a 5-minute and I see this setup, I'm a little more confident the next larger term time frame. So this is kind of something I would cover. Pretty straightforward. I think it's pretty simple for me anyway. And then somebody asked about the fibs. So here's your answer for what fibs I use. It's right. That's exactly what I use. The 78.6, the 100, 127, the 1467, the 161. And then I talked about the 50, the 61.8, and the 7.86. And those are the projections that I use. And so this is actually kind of like an ES setup, pretty much the same thing I'm taking now. We're just retracing a wave here, and I was looking for this setup to get long. And then same thing on, this is one of my favorite trade setups right here. Like the one we're in crude was right now. I really like this trade setup. But the questions, I know, and I still have some time left, but the questions, if you guys have this on Saturday, I'm not sure if, Morgan, you're going to throw it in there, or if I have to kind of throw the link to everybody. But either way, let me kind of know. I can kind of give this to them. What was your entry? 75. I'll probably clear out of here pretty quickly. Been several. Tim, also median lines. Prefer harmonic structures. Yeah, I'm not sure Tim is, but if you guys see like my chart here, like I incorporate quite a few things. I'll just kind of come in and I incorporate quite a few things. Just use it a certain way. Yeah, this thing's been holding the range. I'm gonna give it probably another 15 minutes and see what happens here until about the 3:30 hour. And if it doesn't really pop on me, I'll just clear out of this trade. But typically, right, when we get out of this pullback, this thing should have ran for us into, the kind of the pit close, or even at least broke down. Just it's not doing anything. So you basically have the range as your target. Yeah, for part of the contracts. What was the info for Saturday's webinar? But we'll get that right to you. It's basically, could you explain the wave analysis? I will, Susan, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Theo. Yeah, I'll get you guys a link right here for Saturday's webinar. Let me jump right to it. And this harmonics part. Yeah, I will, John. Let me just go through. I look at so I don't really look at SPY. So for that, I would rather go to the ESF and just correlate the ESF setup to your SPY, and that should help, I think, for me anyway. Like somebody asked earlier about options trading, so I'd rather go over to, I think Morgan just kind of, I think he threw the link in there for everybody, right? Oh, there we go, nice. So there you guys have the link. Let me answer some more of those questions that just came through. Let me try and figure out this trade, because I'm probably going to try and get out of this here pretty quickly. It's just not moving for me. Let's see, 78. Yeah, we're just going to clear out of this. It's not really doing much for us.
Order filled.
And so we'll kind of, so typically what we would look for on this is, like I said, on the pullback here, I would have expected it really for this thing to run. It's just not. It's going to sit in this. I'd probably just, we're not going to sit in that trade. Right now, and I'll say this. So like, if I'm running like a scalp strategy on more contracts, like I definitely wouldn't even, as soon as I put that trade on and it didn't move, I would have been out of that trade. So the PDF file is there for those who want to learn. Yeah, Theo, so Carney's work is very good. I would agree with you on that 100%. Yeah, TD, I think it's way too late. But like, so when we put on that trade, I was putting that on into the pit close. And so again, using time analysis, like I was putting it on with the expectation that the market was going to run into the pit. Obviously it didn't. So. And again, I think for me, like when I come in the morning, I mean, I'd rather trade at like 6 a.m. and 6:30 because then that market really moves. And for the most part, you can get your directional trade on for the day based on really the opening kind of structure of the market there. Steve, are you short? Are you short it? I wish somebody would turn this market on today. I mean, after we got up to these highs, we stair step. It's just not doing much at all. But yeah, see, most of the time, like this is just, it was too slow for me today. There's just no ebb and flow to the market. I really don't step into it and trade it. I think there was one more question I did not get to, and I have about 2 minutes left here. And so Morgan sent you the link, and that'll get you. So when you guys go to that link there, somebody asked about the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, it's on the website there for you. And there's some other information there for you as well on that. Basically, Saturday is just going to be like a 2-hour course. I'm going to cover all the setups I use, like the harmonics patterns that I use, and basically how I use them. So I know Theo had mentioned like kind of some of the setups there. Now, a lot of this is basically how you, like any other strategies, how you structure whatever strategy you're using or style to basically your risk parameters, your personality, and like your trade account, right? So I think that you have to take that into account for sure. Like I've mentioned, I have like a price action scalping strategy I use. Then I use a real small 1 to 5 lot, stuff like this, where I'm just going to look for a decent setting of 20 ticks on this, and we're going to look for about 40 or 50 on it. That's what I was looking for. But if we leave the webinar, look for this to kind of run. We're going to look for that extension to basically run to, I doubt we get it, but you never know. We're going to look for the next wave up on this thing, right? We just continue to keep making higher highs on the kind of reversal on this today. Okay. I would be cautious. Rather waiting for the long side. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not. Look, so I wouldn't even be trading right now. There's just not much going on. The way I see the market for me anyway, if I don't make my money by the European close, I did something wrong that day, and so I should be trading in the afternoon anyway. I mean, I think you should be able to come into the market, at least trading futures anyway, and make your money by Euro close, and then your day should kind of be done. And again, I've sat behind the screens for like I've done this forever, so like I'm at a point where I try and limit my time in front of them if I can. So all-time high, so they're going to touch and yeah, tough. I'm not sure about the projections there, but yeah, Saturday I mean, I can answer more on the harmonic stuff. It'll be a recorded, basically, session, and I'm going to go over the trades that I took this week. Really Monday's trades. Monday was a really good day, so I'm going to cover some of those, the setups, exits, the harmonics, the fibs, and all that on Saturday. Yeah, the biggest mistake, Mary. So let me say this. So I never had to start out on my own account. So I worked at a fund, and so I had somebody, so I had another account to kind of use. I'll tell you this though, the one thing that I did see myself doing is when I first started, I was nervous because I didn't understand the market. Is over trading. Just over trading is a killer. I would say over trading, and then not setting, like now I trade on my own, not setting a daily profit target. I think that's important. Like if you hit like 2,000 a day, like I would cut it and say like my day's done and not try to keep going after it. But that's just the way I see the market. Yeah. Okay. So Saturday is going to be what time we're doing it at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's going to run about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We can go longer if we need to, but about an hour and 2 hours we're going to keep that for. We're going to go over like Monday's trades, some harmonic stuff, and all of that. So, all right, guys. So I just got a tone in my ear. I think my time's up here, right, Morgan? So, and yeah, he just posted the link for you guys. So if you guys have questions on that before this, you can send me an email. I can talk to you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out, Morgan. Thank you guys for having me today. Too bad we couldn't get that crew trade to run for us. But if you guys have questions, send me an email, and that's it. So, yeah, you're welcome. Best of luck trading the rest of the week, everyone. Have a good weekend, and if you guys have questions on Saturday, just send me an email. I'll do my best to get back to you guys. You're welcome, Elena. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dan.